Un cinturón caro. How's it going, my G's? Hola, buenos días. Mucho gusto. Yo soy un hombre muy inteligente. Yes, just practicing a bit of Spanish. I've been up since 4:30 a.m. this morning, which is a little bit insane, but I felt quite fresh for some reason, and I just thought I'd get up and go, and I jumped straight into Logic and started making some bases at 5 a.m, which is a little bit insane for some people, maybe. It's not the life for everyone, but that's my life. Well, it was today anyway. But what I have done for you guys is made a really wicked preset on Phaseplant, which are these funky tech stabs, and they're so funky that they're going to make you shut the front door. Sorry, I didn't mean to get so aggressive. Basically, I've used a triple LFO sandwich this time, so that's really exciting, isn't it? Yeah, let's just jump into the synth, innit? Let's go.
The parables of Phaseplant.
So today I've got some neurofunky stabs that have a really nice level of funk on them as well. And so here's my sort of sound design project. And we've got a few kind of different things that we've built in this sort of template so far. So yesterday I had this groundbreaker bass here. And just sort of making some different kind of ideas for loops. I had this other bass that I made in Vital as well. So a lot of nice neurofunk ingredients, and today's one is right in the middle here, and this is the techie stabs, and yeah, let's have a quick listen to these guys. And they've got a really nice groove on them, and it really fits with the drums. And I've designed this specially using some LFO trickery in Phaseplant. So anyway, let's jump in and walk through the patch together and start off with the voicing.
Listen.
So we're going to start off by switching on our global unison on frequency stack ×3. And the spread is up a little bit, the range is in the middle, and we're going to modulate the blend later on. We've got the unison, we've got the glide turned on, and we've got, polyphony set to 1 and legato. So we can glide up and down the keyboard. It's not playing anything yet, but here's basically the first wavetable. And it's the phase sweep. And what we're going to do is we're going to morph through this wavetable already. So if I just sort of turn this LFO1 on here, it's got a simple up and down pyramid. And this is like a slow LFO that's just going to get things a bit moving in the patch. It's not going to be the main rhythm. Just important to get that movement in there. And then I've unisoned this just on the smooth mode here. And what we're going to do is we're going to FM this into a sine wave, which is down at sort of a -12 here. And this guy here has also some detuning on. And if I turn this up, we start to get a bit of movement through the detuning. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the gain of this first one now. So we're just going to hear the result of them being modulated together coming through here. And the amount of detuning is going to be responsible for the, the speed of the kind of effect. But I had a nice slow kind of rolling rhythm here. And yeah, it's too synthetic and not natural enough and everything. And so we've got to go another step further. And I'm going to add in another sine wave here. This is set to -24 though. And again, we're going to FM our result into this guy here. And again, I'm going to turn down the gain of the first one. So the first two gains are completely off, and it just goes into the final group here. So it's a little bit sort of, less horrible, harsh, high-end kind of sounds, because we've sort of almost processed it through a couple of FMs, so it's become a bit more interesting to the ear. And you can see I've got this ramp on here. And I say ramp, it's just the name of one of my noises, because I created a noise folder with a bunch of different versions of kind of white noise and ambience, which are going to be used to add a bit of that high-end kind of natural texture to the sound. So I've got a little bit of noise along with my main sine wave here with all the bass in it in this group. And that's basically like the main part of the voicing. So let's jump over to the effects.
Effects.
So what we're going to do in the effects section is we're going to really turn this into like a stab sound now. And how we're going to do that is we're going to add in a bandpass filter. And this is going to be moving on a main LFO, which is our LFO1 here. So if I switch this on, and I'll switch on my bandpass filter here. Now, what you'll notice is there's also some movement, as I mentioned before, on the global unison. And on this blend mode here. So if I turn that off, just adds a bit of that extra unison flavor into the LFO. So that's the kind of main movement that we've got here. But what's important is we're going to actually drive the groove of this main LFO ramp down by using another couple of LFOs. So this extra LFO here. Basically, I set the output of this one to the phase of the first one here. So this one is modulating this one. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing because basically this third one is going to modulate this middle one. So the output of here is set to the phase of the middle one. So we've got a 3 LFO layered sandwich. And that's how I got this dun 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 groove. Because this guy is modulating this guy's modulating this guy, and this guy here is a ramp down, and it's got a little bit of a slope up, so it doesn't sort of click every time, and it kind of just goes, nice and gently back up, and we control the speed of it by ear. We choose the phase position, the starting position ourselves by ear. And we do the same on these two guys here, which are the pyramids. And they have a different speed and a different phase position. And we just tinker with these settings until we find a groove. So if I was to move one of these around, let's see if that kind of works. It's obviously out of time because I've already made it so it's sort of fit. So I've gone through for like 5 or 10 minutes. Tweaking these different settings, the phase position, all of these settings will change the groove every time. So I've gone, back and forth a few times until I found like an overall groove that I'm happy with. And then I just sort of stuck with that. And then I move on to adding in the next effects, which are going to be a ring mod with white noise. So this is, again, because we're band passing everything, we're taking out a lot of that a lot of the high end actually. And by adding in this ring mod, it's really cool because you can make it sound quite natural and part of the sound by mixing up the frequency and the mix amount. So you've got to have the band pass noise on, you've got to have that bias and rectifier turned up pretty high, and then modulating that on our LFO. Going to inject this high-end kind of crunch back into the sound that we kind of lost from the filter. So that's important. And now we're going to really overdrive it. And yeah, it helps to sometimes put the distortion on pretty quickly during the sound design process, because you'll hear what will work with the distortion and what won't, because it's going to really bring out a lot of life in the sound. So it's important to know how things are going to react into the distortion. Just a nice sine distortion tinkered with the bias a little bit and the spread. And next up we've got a linear filter, non-linear, sorry, should I say. And this is moving on my kind of slow LFO again here. So it's just going up and down. And it's just meaning that we get a little bit of a different tone, throughout the course of the kind of loop as we hold down the note. We'll just get a little bit of a changing of tone, which is very, very exciting. Muy interesante. And yeah, let's add in a little bit of reverb on our snap heap. And I use the snap heap because I can control the reverb low end. I can take it all out, basically. So EQing out the low end of the reverb. I've got the Baptist Nash something. Just a nice long hole, which is cool. Mixed in just a little bit. And yeah, to like really like get the best from the sound, I've put the LFO, this main sort of fast one that's, being modulated by these other two. I put the main one on quite a few parameters in really small amounts just to get things to move together a bit. So there's a little bit of that on the mix and the reverb here. And then we got a little bit again on the phase distortion with the tone. So I like it kind of down low here, just a little bit of push. And then we just, a little bit of extra saturation again, just because I wanted to make it a bit louder. And then a little bit of delay, kind of dual delay, mixed in again a little bit on the LFO. So we got a slight little juicy stereo tail to the sound. And that's basically, I think I've covered everything. That's basically like the patch. But yeah, the cool thing was going one step further with the kind of groove and having actually 3 LFOs to like try and create the groove with. And so that's the way I was able to get it to be like on this kind of offbeat rhythm that's just quite natural sounding, but also quite funky and doesn't sound too like robotic or something like that. Just by tweaking these settings sort of by ear for 10 minutes or so. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's have a little look at the post-processing.
Processing.
So why don't we go ahead and do what I would probably naturally do, and that'd be to sort of bounce these guys out, and we can have a little look at the audio files. And already it's great to see what's going on. Because there's only, you can hear a lot, but you can't always pick up on everything. And having that visual aid, I see that there's this like big kind of click here. Like I didn't really ever hear that, but let's see if we can hear it. You don't really notice it. But what I could actually do, if I want to do a bit of sort of chopping magic, why don't we just like chop things up a little bit here. Even there, that little gap there was great. I really like that. And I'm already thinking, I could loop that. Yeah, see, that's a nice little groove that you got there that you wouldn't have made before. But and you might think, why did you design the original groove like that then? Well, it's always a process of like getting to that next stage of like, the next stage of groove that's even better. And so it's like a 2-part process for me. Make it as cool and groovy as I can first off in the synth, and then see if I can go and improve it by hand afterwards. So we could go into a bunch of post-processing and do like lots of effects, but I won't. I'll save that for another video perhaps, because I want to keep this like fairly short today. But yeah, that's the techie stabs that I've made today, and actually got quite a lot of new phase plant presets. I might have to make a new preset pack soon. Yeah. Also, my latest track, Parable. If you haven't listened to it, there's a link above. You can check out the song on YouTube. It's also on Spotify and SoundCloud as well. And we've got some really good feedback for that one so far, so pretty happy about that. Yeah, anyway, hope you guys are having a good week so far. Peace out, much love, don't do anything I wouldn't. Ciao for now. Arigato gozaimasu.
Too great.